Hello legends, how we doing? So we're waking up today, aren't we? Or some of you probably caught this yesterday. Almost said on the news then, but hopefully you're not watching the news. But you can't help to have seen this awfully tragic, this incident that just shows the evil side of human behavior, and we're going to come on to it. Who was Renee Nicole Good, the woman killed by ICE, the immigration agents in the States? Renee Nicole Good was an award-winning poet. The woman shot dead by a federal agent in Minneapolis has been identified as Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother of three who had just moved to the city. She was a prize-winning poet and a hobby guitarist who leaders have said was there as a legal observer of immigration and customs enforcement activities. But the Trump administration has called her a domestic terrorist. Good's death has sparked protests across the country, with many people holding signs that read "Justice for Renee." Right, there's always more to this than meets the eye, friends, isn't there? So let's get into it. Hello friends, I hope this finds you absolutely fine on this another day in our paradise. I just wanted to say that human beings, we've all been really brainwashed, indoctrinated, smashed, and had all the confidence and everything smashed out of us by this ridiculous beast system and its phony medical nonsense and its false flag operations and its constant state of Illuminati war or whatever you want to call that. And it's got to the point where I reckon for so many of you watching, not one single person has said today, "I love you." And I'm saying that to you now. And I'm going one stage further. I'm giving you a virtual hug because you bloody deserve one. You're a lovely person, and sometimes we don't feel that, do we? Because everything gets us down. We go into childhood trauma mode, and suddenly we got the overbearing parent telling us we're not good enough, or the series of boyfriends that put us down over the years. And forget all that. Just remember, you're massively loved, and you are awesome. Right. Getting into this one, folks, could we please like and subscribe right now so you don't go and forget, and check that you're subscribed. I promise you, you are never going to meet anyone like me or see a channel like this. Not saying I'm better than anybody, nothing like that, but I have a unique perception on what's going on in life and the ability to join all the dots together and give you what most people are looking for, which is like, what is that, what is that magic answer? What is enlightenment? What should we be striving for? And what is the way forward? I'm talking quickly because I've got to take a loved one to the hospital following I would say a minor accident, but when you're 80 years old, it's there's no such thing, is there? So this was the incident. I'm not going to get too much into that. Oh, turn my button off. I'm just going to shoot straight through this. If you've been with the channel a while, you'll get my way of thinking. If you haven't, just hang in there. It will all make sense in the end. But recently, we've been looking at the Kabbalistic number, the occult number 33, and its symbology through history as both a power number, but also used in esoterics to signify, let's just say, deep state Masonic operations. So it's a signature number. This is why when you look at like what's going on in Venezuela, we've seen the number 233 in the media. We see it again. This is the time codes of the bombs or when the rockets hit in Venezuela. This is the boat strikes, 33 on the alleged drug smuggling boats that have also been called fishing boats. The oil tanker there we're going to see is 33 kilometers off the coast. Here's Maduro in court. He's wearing the orange, which in gematria, which is just simply assigning a number to letters. A is 1, B is 2. This is an ancient way of writing code. In gematria, orange is 11, and also you see he's making the diamond with his hand. That's 11. So he's basically telling the judge, I'm a high-level Mason. I'm in on the cabal. Yada yada yada. Why they all do this? We'll get onto that another day. Am I referring to your porch masons that you see down at your local? This is. I don't think this is that folks, is what I'm saying. So hold your hats. It goes on. We're looking at the Greenland scenario, and the former minister that they've quoted in Yahoo News is 33 years old. 33% of Americans fear getting bogged down in Greenland and Venezuela. Trump has just brought out a 33-page plan for his new world order. The AI system that we talked about yesterday, why do they need all this energy? Why are they invading all these innocent countries that have done nothing to the USA? It's because of the precious minerals that are needed to run the massive power-hungry AI data centers that are creating the 15-minute cities and the smart grid and all the control system for you. These systems, they're very proud to tell you, take 33 times more energy. And it goes on. There's an article in Goldman Sachs, not that that's a publication I read very often for obvious reasons. Here were the ships. One was called the Bella 1, and in gematria, the Bella 1 in ordinal gematria is 33. The other ship was called the Sophia, and the Sophia is a prominent figure in Gnosticism. So remember, these Kabbalists, they hate Jesus. They mock him at every possible opportunity. So is this here, and you're an adult, you can make your own mind up, is Gnosticism what Jesus was? He was a Gnostic, hence the Gnostic Gospels. Gospel of Thomas, which was the actual word of the alleged Jesus, and Sophia is a prominent figure in Gnosticism. So I don't know, folks. Listen, does all this sound utterly bizarre? Yeah, of course it does. Would I have been looking at this like 20 years? No. Before them buildings came down, you know the ones I mean. I lived in the Matrix like everybody else. I was enlightened because I'd come through chronic drug addiction. But enlightened and being awake, two different things. And here's one for you. I woke up right in the middle of a social work master's degree. Could you imagine the problems that caused me, being on a institutionalized brainwashing course? with everyone in my class was just totally asleep, and there's me wide awake to the global cabal. Needless to say, I didn't stay on that course very long. So we are going to get back. You might have seen the news report that they put on YouTube yesterday. This is Sky News talking about the oil tanker. The presenter there wearing the Saturn pendant. Saturn being the cult of Saturn, the black cube cult. Hence your black rock, your black cube, your black stone. All Israeli-based companies, because this goes back to a chap called Sabbatai Zevi. In fact, it actually goes back to Saturn worship, full stop. Saturn, the same as the Shabbos, the same as what we call Satan. So this is an ancient form of worship that's alleged to go back to when Saturn was the son of the earth. But I can't get too deep into that today. But here's some symbology. They're talking about these Venezuelan or Russian oil tankers. We've got out of every pendant that their presenter could have been wearing a cross, could have been wearing this, could have been wearing that, but no, it's the rings of Saturn. This is the same from your Nike swoosh logo. They've taken the part of the ring there. This goes back to your Lord of the Rings trilogy, and this was a pendant that was originally sold by Vivienne Westwood, and what Vivienne Westwood became Dame Vivienne Westwood. So remember, when you're a good boy or a good girl for the cabal, you get recognized, don't you? If you push certain toxic procedures during medical nonsense, for example, like, not mention any names, but professional footballers, and, the next thing you know, you're going to the palace and you're getting your MBE or your OBE, etc., etc. And why am I mentioning this? Because it all ties in, folks. Look, what was Vivienne Westwood famous for? She was famous for dressing in orange and having her hair in orange. Orange in gematria, you can do this for yourself. In the ancient biblical, esoteric, Babylonian mystery school code, it reduces to 33, look. So there we go. If you want to be in favour with the cabal, just go and get yourself an orange suit. What's the 33? Someone very well pointed out in the comments yesterday. Thank you ever so much. 33 also is said to be symbolic of when Lucifer, the fallen angel, fell from the side of God. He took 1/3 of the angels with him. This is allegory now, folks. Lucifer just stands for... The whole allegory behind this bit is living in your lower chakras, your bestial self, being a slave to materialism. You fall from the right side of God, the right hemisphere of the brain. Your kindness, your peace, your love, your empathy, your gnosis, where you know stuff rather than you believe stuff. If you fall from that because you're buying into the Ferrari, the cocaine, I'll get some more tattoos, that'll give me peace of mind. Have you noticed that? The more tattoos you get, the more that you want. The more drugs you take, the more that you want. The more that you drive a fast car, the more you crave speed. And yet it never actually gets you to that contentedness that most people seek. So this is the whole thing about Lucifer. If you watch Paddington, I don't know if it's 1 or 2, well, I think it's St. Paul's Cathedral. Actually, there's a scene where the cabal, let me just see if I can find it for you. Dun, dun, dun. I'll just do a quick search. There's a scene in Paddington, and they're in, I think it's St. Paul's Cathedral in London, and the angel statue is on that, right up in the roof of the cathedral, just suddenly, And of course, to most people, that's going to go straight over their head. While I look for that, let's keep moving on. Here's the said cult of Saturn. You can do some research on that. I won't talk about it today. Here's a chap. I don't know why that every person that seemed to be involved in the Charlie Kirk thing was Jewish, or moreover Ashkenazi. It was almost like a wee bit bizarre. But look at what this guy's saying.
What policy do you support to make it easier for young people to buy homes?
Get rid of BlackRock purchasing a bunch of homes and renting them back to us.
Okay. So he's laying the housing crisis, or at least a part of it, on BlackRock. So Charlie was starting to wake up to the shenanigans going on in the world. Coming on to Renee. I'm not going to play the video, folks. I'm sure many of you seen it. It was absolutely horrific. And the fact that President Trump came out on the side of the officer immediately, saying that he's just trying to make America safe, and it was in self-defense. I'm telling you, as a former member of an elite armed force, where I carried a weapon every day, or at least I had one in the armory for 7 years. For 1 whole year, my personal weapon that I carried on me at all times, even had to sleep with it, was a 9mm pistol. I'm telling you, what this guy did was just his ego getting out of control. Absolutely nothing to do with fear, because if he was scared, they wouldn't have even been near the car. His ego, his fractured, damaged ego, could not handle it, that she wouldn't obey his commands. That's it. And the reason I mention this isn't to have a go at the guy. This doesn't affect my life, does it? Well, it was just to say a couple of things. One, again, look at the symbology. This very same agent had this allegedly got dragged by a car. This was 6 months ago, and resulting in 33 stitches. Could have been any number of stitches, couldn't it? Could have been none at all, but it had to be that magic number. You make of that what you will, folks. I know where I am. My jewelry's always a little bit sort of that. I'm just telling you the so-called facts as they are. And what I wanted to come on to is how people ask me all the time, when are the military coming to save us? And I say the military are order followers. For the most part, if you think of the military, and I don't mean like this any disrespectfully for those of you serving like I did. We didn't know any of this like back then, but I'm 56 now, so I have to tell you my truth. And my truth is, I'd say, if you think of the military as a bunch of guys and girls whose daddy didn't love them enough, and therefore they're out to prove something, that wouldn't be far from the truth for quite a lot of individuals. Does it make them a bad person? No, that's not it at all. What it means is they're very manipulatable. When you live in your lower self, your ego self, you're quite programmable, you're already indoctrinated, and you're living in your ego. You have an inflated ego because they give you a funny coloured hat or badges or a gun, and you genuinely have this feeling of like superiority to the public, and that you can treat people as and where you will, and you imagine you've got this whole system backing you up. The irony is, as our SAS are finding out now, our special forces, this system doesn't care about you. It uses you. That's why they're dragging you all through the court for doing stuff like this officer did. And when people say, oh, the military coming to rescue us, Chris, they're coming to... What do you think? This guy just shot an innocent woman who was scared and trying to drive away. He shot her in the face 3 times, and she's a mother of 3 children. And look at the comments. And this isn't a negative thing. I'm saying it's a spiritual battle. You've got this, and you start with you. Forget all this noise. I don't care if you don't ever watch my show ever again because you're like, Chris, I don't want to watch scene. Absolutely fine. You know I don't really like covering it. I'm only covering this to show you what's going on and why it's important to fight your corner. Take care of your part of ship. And you can do that every single day from the moment you wake up, when you make your bed, you throw open your curtains, you say, thank you, universe, for giving me this opportunity called life. You do quick meditation or mindfulness. You center yourself to get your spiritual armor. In that moment, you're becoming the everything, the effects of everyday life and all its like nitty gritty and nastiness and idiots at work and people leaving stupid comments on. So that's over there. You're here. You're the everything. You can't be getting bothered about all this, trivia. And then breathe. Get out, walk around the block. Come back, make a beautiful salad for your lunch. Alkalize your body, as I'm always saying. If you want these strips, folks, or you want the super greens, there's a link below. I will make a little bit of money off you. Okay? Find out how your cells function, and that if you alkalize them, then all your worries about ill health and blaming everybody else will just go, ooh. That's my experience, I should say. So here's the thing. This is putting the power in your court, because look, are the military coming to support you? This person here don't need to say his name. If you stand at the edge of a lake and keep throwing rocks at the gator, sooner or later the gator is going to grab you and drag you under. It's not the gator's fault. Get away from the lake and leave the gate. Scott is not very worldly wise, folks, and he represents probably 97% of people on this planet. He probably hasn't served in the forces, probably hasn't been on the front line, probably hasn't witnessed one of his oppos getting shot through the head and the chap behind him getting shot 3 times, like someone has done, and doesn't understand the ramifications and all that goes with it. Instead, he's willing to send other people out there to fight these quote unquote wars. And what he's saying there is, it's absolutely fine for federal agents or government agents to just shoot women in the face 3 times because they feel like it. That is it. And this, I can tell you now, this is a thing you see in the forces. I knew people, they couldn't wait to pull the trigger. They could not wait. It fortunately was a limited, I wouldn't say it was a widespread, but you had these individuals. We once had a guy, right? He was mentally unwell because there was a care home down the road from the barracks I served at. And one time someone had escaped from the care home, or they, jumped over the fence or whatever, and they had one of those little action men guns. I'm kidding you not. Or it's like an A303, like we used to play with as a kid, like a little tiny plastic thing. And in his mind, he came running up to our armed sentry on the gate, and he's like, bop, bop, bop. And the sentry, instead of going, oh, look, there's a mentally unwell man with a child's toy, whoa, no, blew it up to full all-out battle, hit the alarm, got on the radio, called out the whole guard. Everyone went to action stations. They're up there. They're taking cover. We got 30 rounds of live ammunition. When anyone with like the slightest bit of balance in their brain would have gone, guys, just to warn you off, there's a chap here. He's obviously not very well and he's got like a 6-inch child's gun. Absolutely no harm whatsoever to anyone, but I'm just making you no. This guy said, actually physically said to me, he said, I was just waiting for him to raise that gun at me so I could shoot him. I'm like, you fucking muppet. It's a fucking talk. You knew it was why are you trying to justify that you could have murdered this man? It's insane, folks. This is so any comments to the contrary. Oh, no, she was using the car. This is from like literally, backseat commentators who've got no idea. So my whole point is, look, all these comments, look, best comment goes to Scott. Absolutely. There's only one logical person here. Look, Lewis, the difference is when the gator kills a person, other people usually get together and take the gator out. Look, the cop has such an easy defense. It's like they know what he did was wrong, but they're all trying to. So the point is, people will buy into their own slavery, won't they? People will literally put the bars of the cage of the New World Order up for them, and then they will fight to make sure they don't get taken down. I'm not saying that things aren't changing, but the way that they're changing, folks, is by simple things. Stop blaming other people for your unwellness. Learn about the causes of why you get unwell, because that's a massive cabal thing, right? I've got to go now, folks. I'm going to be late. If you can do that alone, learn about contagion, learn about Antoine Béchamp versus Louis Pasteur. If you just do that, you're changing, because look out on Twitter now and all the platforms, people are talking about this. They're saying, do you remember that nonsense your parents taught you about like bogeymen that could jump from one person? Like that's just all propaganda. That's to get you to, undergo procedures, and then the side effects of those procedures mean you got to go back to the cabal and beg them for more procedures, and they will do that to you until you go in the grave, not even knowing what the hell you've done to yourself. That's just one thing. The other thing is, do what I say. Get up, smile, thank the morning sun, go out, smile at people, raise your energy, and life will go like that. You're raising it there, life meets you there. You raise it there, life meets you there. And as someone who's lived, worked and travelled in 86 countries across all 7 continents, off the back of chronic drug addiction, I can tell you this works and it's worth it. Right, I've got to go. Massive love to everybody in the chat. You absolute legends. I can't come there now. I've got to go and jump in the car. But if you can like and subscribe, folks, that would be absolutely brilliant. You can, and let's just keep going forward together. Much love.
Morning legends, I'm Chris Thrall. I'm a former Royal Marines commando. Upon leaving the forces, ended up chronically mentally unwell. self-medicating, undiagnosed trauma and homeless on the streets of Hong Kong. It was the toughest battle I ever had to fight, but without the support of the medical community, without self-help groups, I learned the answers to rebuild my life and go on to complete a series of extreme charity challenges to send a vital message out there for other veterans who are struggling. I've run the length of the United Kingdom, run across the Sahara Desert, rode across the Atlantic Ocean. Now I'm taking on my biggest challenge yet, climbing Mount Everest. If you can support me, friends, and continue to shine a light for our struggling veterans and let them know that is life after PTSD, I'll put a link below. Can spare a fiver? That's absolutely fine. And let's give our veterans the respect that they deserve. Much love.
No matter